Hello?
Yo, how's it going?
Oh, not bad. How about you?
Your microphone is like super muffled. It sounds like something isn't like connected properly.
Give me a hold
Okay.
on. Better?
It like sounds like you're underwater.
Hmm. Hello?
Oh, okay, that's a lot better.
Alright. Sorry, I had to grab my actual gaming headset. I was just using my phone as my phone, so
Yeah, that's weird. Usually phones have like pretty decent mics, but that was not great. But yeah,
it's kind of weird.
this is definitely a lot better. This sounds great. So
Awesome.
how are you today?
Not so bad, not so bad. I was surprised that you're focusing on coaching actually.
Yeah,
What made you decide to do that?
I think that it's something that I can like I can definitely do very well. I used to teach piano when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a good time interacting with people and kind of like a decent grasp of kind of like the concepts needed to teach people. And then
Okay.
also I feel like a lot of the important things in Smash I kind of just um they came to me very easily without like people actually kind of teaching me them, and I feel like I have a lot to kind of give in that sort of sense. Um and then so why I decided to do it more right now is just because I want to be able to do it more during Ultimate. So I kind of want to build a little bit of a reputation as a coach before Ultimate comes out, and
Okay.
then do a lot more of it during Ultimate. Um,
So are you still going to actually play competitively, or are you just going to
yeah,
focus on coaching during Ultimate?
yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna be playing competitively still. That's still definitely my passion. Um, but I do think that coaching is definitely a good fit for me as far as like content and that sort of stuff. I'm working on some YouTube stuff as well, um, for just like teaching people concepts that are a little bit less talked about, that should help with people trying to like learn Ultimate too.
That sounds
Um,
pretty awesome.
yeah, so I'm working on one right now about mentality. I made a video about mentality a while ago, but this one will be better and more fleshed out. Has more like actual like data to back it, and then one about how to beat zoners, because a lot of people seem to struggle with how to play against zoning characters like Cloud, Villager, Mega Man, that sort of thing.
Oh
And I
yeah,
think I think I have a pretty like oh god, I feel like I have a pretty easy to understand system to beat those sort of characters pretty well.
Mhm.
Um,
So it's like a decent foundation or something to start
yeah,
from.
kind of like a it's kind of like a step-by-step process that I always think about when I'm playing those characters, and it definitely helps. But yeah, I'll be going into that more in depth in that video.
That's great because I'll probably need that because I always get impatient and
Yeah,
just like mess up at the last second. So
yeah, it's tough. So yeah, is there anything that you're like looking for in specific with the coaching? Like, is there any like matchup issues or like anything that you're like specifically coming for? Or are you mostly just like interested in getting like seeing what I can pick out in your gameplay?
mostly picking out like my worst habits, I guess,
Yeah.
and seeing what like as far as improvement wise, if I can improve somewhere with like just movement or neutral or something like that.
Yeah.
If I'm weak in one area, but I think because I play Yoshi and Lucas, I rate air dodge a lot because their air dodge is so good.
Yeah.
So, and I guess as a Yoshi, I guess that's also part of his gameplay. So I gotta fix that before Ultimate comes out.
Um. So yeah, so you're just looking to play some games then?
Yes, please.
All right, awesome. So what's your Nintendo ID?
Hold on. Let's see. Let me pull it up. It's come on. Okay, it's Sarutari, Sarutari.
Awesome.
Yeah, I donated my Wii U to the guys who run our locals,
Oh, okay,
and
cool.
so I just yeah. So I'm just using my roommates at this point now.
Yeah, I live in a house with a couple other Smash players. I live with Captain L.
Oh, serious?
Yeah,
That's pretty awesome.
yeah, we've been in the same scene for a while. He's I don't know. I don't even know how the rankings look right now, but yeah. So I live with him and then two other Smash players who like top 10ish BC. So we have yeah. So we have I have one Wii U at my streaming setup, and then we have one in the living room, and then I think we have one in each of our rooms. So we have Wii U's galore. I'm sure it'll be that way with Switches too come Ultimate. I have a room up.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
So I'm gonna start with Ryu just to see what kind of stuff I can figure out with Ryu, but I understand that a lot of people don't super know the Ryu matchup, and it's kind of a different matchup compared to what like people play usually. So I might swap off to other characters just to see what I can figure out with other characters and stuff too.
Okay, that sounds good. There's a Ryu at my local. He just showed up like a month or two ago. Yeah, I don't know how to find him too well yet.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting matchup. And if you want to go to any specific stage, or if you want to practice against any specific character, yeah, just let me know, because this is your time.
No, I just wanted more general. I'm not really interested in specific matchups right now,
Awesome.
and I'm not sure. Like, I guess my main issue, or I'll just play actually. Okay. Oh, balls.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Okay. Oh my god.
Yeah, so that move is a little bit hard to deal with. You really have to try and bait it out, I guess, and then punish afterwards, because it's frame 1 invulnerable. So those sort of situations where you might be trying to punish something on shield, it's a lot easier just to wait for the Shoryu and then to punish the Shoryu after. Like there was the situation with the down air Shoryu. I down aired your shield and then immediately Shoryu'd. And if you don't power shield that, it's pretty close as far as frame data goes, if like as to whether you can punish it or not.
Okay.
So basically the concept there is just like bait out the option that isn't safe afterwards. And that will apply to a lot of other matchups too, like things like Fox back airing your shield and then immediately up tilting. You won't really be able to punish the back air, but you'll be able to punish the up tilt. So that's something to kind of think about, is just what options can you actually punish, and that could just be a thing with Ryu that is like inexperienced right now.
Okay.
The other thing I just noticed that was like something that's kind of small, but basically any time that you're jumping away from me, or anytime that you're basically like moving away from me, you're going for B reverse egg lay. And that's not necessarily a bad option, but right now it's not being like mixed up with anything. So when I see you jump away from me, the automatic thing I think of is like, oh, he's gonna be reverse egg lay.
Okay.
So it's like, so I guess I'd say just kind of like try and mix in like moving backwards with like jump back egg or egg toss, you know, like that sort of stuff, or even just like empty jump back, just to kind of like throw things in that'll make it harder to react to. Because right now all I'm thinking is I don't even have to react to the egg lay, I just have to react to you jumping backwards, if that makes any sense.
I got you. Yeah.
So it's kind of like a posturing thing. Even though it's an option that's good, throwing in more options that kind of look the same, that have different end results, will be something that will make that option a lot better, just because you're making your opponent think of so many different things. And it'll force them to react to the egg lay itself rather than reacting to the jump back. That's like a small thing, but it's something that, like a habit that opponents can pick out and punish you for.
Yeah, I need to fix that. Oh my god. My new get out.
Nice.
Oh crap, no.
So yeah, that was really good. That was a situation where you jump back and I was expecting the egg lay, but the back air worked really well because I wasn't expecting it.
Oh, no text.
I was gonna say after this game, probably just respect Ryu as far as grab combos go. Like, don't do grab release. Don't do grab release into things on Ryu just because he can shore you. And like, as far as I understand, Yoshi's grab release, you both can act out of it on the same frame.
Yes, that's why I usually try to jab or something out.
Yeah,
And
so
Shoryu
Shoryu will be
one.
invincible frame 1. So yeah, that's something to think about, but obviously it worked there. So,
I mean, I guess I could bait it out, but at low percentage, I'm not too. I wasn't too worried about it, I guess.
yeah. But that's a small thing. But yeah, mixing in that back air there was really, really good. But then the next time you jumped away, you did the same back air, and I just shielded it and down smashed. So
Yeah.
it's just like making sure that you are mixing in a whole bunch of options. And I understand that's not going to be something you can fix just like, immediately. But it's something to think about. Because the more options you throw in there, you have the back air in there now, and you have the egg lay. And the egg lay will beat me if I'm shielding, and the back air will beat me if I'm not shielding. But you could even throw more stuff in there so that I have to think about different timings as well as different options and like that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Because the more things I'm thinking about, the better each option will be, just because it'll be less predictable.
I gotcha.
The other thing, I guess, is just like you might have to respect Ryu a little bit harder with his focus attack. Not so much like everything. I think you're doing like a pretty good job as far as like spacing and stuff goes. I'd say against Ryu in specific, more egg, because egg will immediately break focus because it's considered 2 hits.
Yep.
So I'd say using that more is probably good, and then just less smash attacks in general, unless you have something that is like guaranteed to the frame. I know sometimes like the jab smash attacks are like half true, and I know there are some percents where they are like completely true, so it's kind of just like you have to make sure that you're doing them at the percents where they're completely true, or he could just focus out and kill you.
Okay. Oh wow. Just do it. Oh no.
Nice.
Oh my god, I was right behind you.
Yeah, that wasn't like a confirm, but I did jab there. I did jab there, and then I ran behind you, and I B-reverse true Shoryu. Or I didn't run like quite behind you, but I ran like into you. Yeah, so that's something that's like a little bit goofy about Ryu, is he has those sort of things.
Jeez, after stock, you kind of just railroaded me.
I'd say right now the big thing is just that you're not. I I guess you're getting punished a decent amount by like going for things on places where you think there's end lag and there just isn't that much end lag.
Yeah. So I guess it. Okay.
And then yeah, getting punished for it. Like so yeah, there was one point in time where I came down with shoot, what did I do? I came down with like a forward air or something, and you went to like F smash it. And technically it was like a position where you could have whiff punished my forward air, but I just like shoryu'd out of it. And so, yet again, it's something like that where you kind of want to try and bait out the shoryu rather than like punishing the or not necessarily it's a situation where you always want to try and bait out the shoryu, but it's something that yet again you want to mix in. Because right now, I'm not afraid to shoryu because I know that, in general, you're going to be throwing out a button the majority of the time. So I'm never afraid to just, like, shoryu because I've never been punished for just, like, raw shoryuing, and it's always been working. But as soon as you bait out, like, one shoryu, even if it's, like, something where... like, if you're having trouble dealing with shoryu, one way to deal with it is to bait one out, and then as soon as you bait one shoryu out, suddenly I'm like, okay, he knows I'm gonna shoryu out of things, and most likely like stop doing it as much. I should
I should know this guy plays Street Fighter too, but it's
yeah.
Like, no.
So it's kind of like for example, when I play against Diddy, I hate monkey flip.
Understandable.
And so I always have trouble dealing with monkey flip, but what I'll always do is I'll be like, okay, if I can just shoryu him out of monkey flip once, he won't do it ever again.
For the fear in him.
Yeah, exactly. So it's mostly just like a fear thing. If you can kind of pull it off once, then you kind of dissuade your opponent from using that option again, even if it is something that's been catching you a lot, you know?
Understandable. Okay.
I'm gonna switch to a different matchup. What's a matchup that you say like you think you have like a good amount of experience in? Between like Sheik Fox, Bayo, Sheik Fox, Bayo, Zero Suit, Ness, Falcon, Greninja.
Wow. I guess the characters I have most problems with are the really fast ones.
Not necessarily the most problems with, but the most like experience with. Like I want something that you're comfortable like punishing with, like as far as like positioning and that kind of stuff, just so I can see if I can pick out habits that aren't related to just like positioning and like end leg and that stuff.
Oh, I guess let's see. I guess ZSS.
Okay.
And Yoshi. I guess there's like 4 Yoshis in my region for some reason.
Oh shit. Where are you from?
Upstate New York. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have Dark Wizzy and a couple other people.
Dark Wizzy plays Yoshi?
Oh no, he plays.
Oh,
Mario,
sorry. Okay.
He's part of the region.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I got you. I spend a good amount of time in New York, so I know about the amount of Yoshis in New York.
Yeah.
I go to like the Long Island weeklies, and it's Raptor Suarez, Louise. There's a couple of them.
Jeez, wow! I didn't realize there was that many.
Yeah, and then if there's a whole bunch in upstate New York too, then God.
I mean, we're not as good as the ones down in New York City. We're still growing our scene down here. Oh crap. Spike?
Yeah.
Uh,
If you're that close to the blast zone, ZSS's down air will kill you before it kills her. But I guess it didn't really matter because I was up a stock.
yeah.
So one thing I'm noticing that I haven't been able to punish too hard, but some players definitely will, is just that the large majority of your options off of ledge are either drop down jump into like an aerial or just jump from ledge in general.
Yeah.
And you're doing a decent job of getting back to the ground afterwards, but just be careful, as both of those options sometimes get punished by kind of like the same idea from the opponent. Like for example, if a Sheik is ledge trapping you, she can just like short hop nair and that covers both. And like things of that sort. And then you're not really doing much neutral get up or roll or get up attack. So I'd say just try and like mix those things in a little bit. Of course, things like get up attack are more risky and are things that you shouldn't throw out quite as often, especially if your jumps are working. But putting in more options will always be something that that will benefit you. The other thing was, yet again, just being really careful about posturing. You were throwing out a lot of projectiles and doing a lot of short hopping in neutral, which was good. You were throwing out PK fires. You were doing like short hop fair, that sort of stuff. And then I got to like 100 or 110 or so, and you immediately stopped throwing out hitboxes and stopped jumping. And I was like, oh, okay, he's fishing for a grab.
Oh wow.
So
I didn't catch up with that.
yeah, there's just like subtle like playstyle shifts like that are kind of a big tell as for what your opponent's going for.
Okay.
And that's a big one against Ryu too. Like sometimes you'll see Ryu like jumping around a ton, and then suddenly they're like running around and shielding, and it's like, oh god, he's looking for an up tilt. But it's those little posturing things that sometimes you can't really see for, like, you can't really realize that you're doing yourself. But in that game, it was like, okay, I see you're running around and shielding suddenly when the rest of the game you've been doing that. You must be going for something on the ground. And for Lucas, I was like, that must be grab.
It's my bread and butter, man.
Yeah, no, definitely a good option for him. But yeah, so I'd say just be really careful about how you thread options in like that. You want to try and make sure that your playstyle isn't, I guess, not. You have to be sure that you're not posturing obvious things. And for Lucas, I think that's one of his weaknesses as a character, is just that, like, you can kind of tell what he's going for the majority of the time. You can't really like tomahawk grab with him or anything because he just like doesn't have any good like.
So slow.
Yeah, his grab is so slow. His fall speed is so slow. If he had like cloud fall speed, like hell yeah, he could tomahawk grab. Or if he had an aerial like Fox back air or something that you kind of have to respect on shield, of course you could do. But he doesn't really have stuff like that either. And just with how slow he falls, it's kind of not an option. But it's something to think about, definitely, is like, what option is my opponent expecting me to do by how I'm acting? And then try and do something different. Like, for example, like clouds, you know, they'll jump around, they'll aerial a lot, and then you'll see them jump towards you, and they're like, you're just immediately like, oh my god, they're gonna hit me with the back air, a falling up air or something, and you shield, and they'll just empty land and grab you. So that's an example of just how like keeping your posturing the same, but using an option that your opponent won't expect is something that'll help you a lot. I'm trying to think of ways to like reasonably do that with Lucas, and I think it's a lot harder with Lucas than with some of the better characters in the game.
Ouch, that hurts my feelings.
That hurts your feelings? I just think Lucas isn't that great as a character. I love Lucas, but I love playing Lucas too, but I think his options are definitely limited, a little bit limited as far as mixing things up go.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of in a transition between him and Yoshi.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because Yoshi has things like that where it's like, okay, if he's falling towards you, he can either aerial or he can egg lay. And like stuff of the likes. But Lucas is definitely a little bit less
Very telegraphed.
yeah, I guess he's very telegraphed. But that's something just to think about, is just like how you're playing and how you're posturing, to make sure that you're getting these options that you're looking for. Even just things like going for more like short hop fair, and PK fire to like put me in a position where you want to grab me, and then making sure not to like have a complete style shift, so it's just obvious that you're looking for something, you know?
Ah, okay.
Because it was really the style shift that made it obvious that you were going for a grab. So just be very cognizant of how you're playing and attempt to, even if you're looking for something different, try not to play super different, or play super different and then go for an option that like doesn't go with how you're playing. So, or run around and shield a whole bunch and then just like short hop fair out of shield, or just like PK fire in that position when people start jumping around to try and avoid the grab. If that makes any sense.
I get you what you're trying, the general gist of what you're trying to say, yeah.
Okay.
Just
cool.
try to, yeah, just mind my play, how I'm playing, I guess.
Yeah, there are two ways to be like unpredictable in that sense, and that's either you play basically the same the whole game, like as far as kind of like how much you're in the air and in the ground, on the ground, and then you just mix up your options super hard. Or it's like, or you can mind game your opponent really hard by posturing like you're going for something specific, and then immediately going for something else that doesn't really go with how you're posturing. So for Ryu, that would be just like jumping around all game, and then when they expect to jump in aerial, you just empty land and like start up tilting their shield. So like stuff like that.
Man, I'll never caught that. Freaking notice my freaking gameplay shift.
Yeah, it's small stuff. Oh god, that was really bad. I just fell too far before doing that.
Oh god.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you expected to fall out of that?
Yeah.
So you were holding in then?
Yeah, I thought I could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, that's a small thing. Yeah, and sorry about that SD. You can tell I'm not a CSS main.
No, it's all good.
But so I'd say like, shoot, I'm trying to like, So a lot of the things that you're trying to punish me for are things that so I guess ZSS as a character is a character that has very, very low end lag on aerials, as well as a very, very fast jab. So you combine those together and it becomes almost like impossible to punish things like Zair, things like Nair on shield, even if it's power shielded, and back air. And it seems like you're kind of trying to punish those things, and then as a result getting hit by jabs, getting hit by forward tilts, getting hit by that sort of thing. So where you really, really want to punish CSS is you want to punish her when she's trying to get up to the height where she can do those falling aerials. Rather than punishing her for hitting those aerials on your shield. So she has, like, technically it's not end lag, or like actual lag that she can't do anything out of. But you kind of have to think of it like lag when she jumps to try and go for like the tip of her short hop. So you really want to punish her when she's like rising from the ground or rising out of shield. To get to that short hop height, because as soon as she's at that short hop height, those nairs and those zairs and stuff are going to be super safe. Whereas if you punish her when she's like trying to get to those positions, then things are going to go a lot better for you. Which means a lot of things like preemptive, like short hop fair or PK fire to try and stop her from, you know, getting to those heights. Or even like your own zair. If you're just like in the air slightly before her, just to kind of like knock her out of those aerials before they start. It's a concept that you kind of have to think about with a lot of characters, where it's like, can I punish them, or do I want to punish when they hit my shield, or do I want to punish before they get the chance to like use those moves? So another really, really big example of that is Shulk. His moves takes like such a long time to come out, but once he hits them on your shield, he actually has like very little lag, and he can just like fade through you super far. So you don't even want to let him like start up those moves. You just kind of want to stuff them before they come out, because they have that lag beforehand. And that's kind of the same concept that you have to work with ZSS, rather than trying to punish them after the fact and play reactive. The other thing that I saw that game is just be really, really careful about trying to land on top of people out of hit stun.
Yeah.
Especially with a character like Lucas, who doesn't really have any like good like landing aerials.
Landing options.
So it seemed like when you were in a position where you weren't sent like super high, when you were sent like super high or super fall, you were usually resetting to neutral, which is good. But just be very careful about trying to like instantly react or instantly punish and get something back on your opponent, because most cases, even if you do have like a good fast aerial, most people have their combo trees kind of like mapped so that they know where the openings are going to be, and they can just sit and shield on ground and wait for those people to land on top of them. So it's generally like a bad habit unless you have like a super safe aerial. So yeah, just those small situations where I hit you like slightly above me. Just don't be super hasty about trying to get something back immediately. You'll always be in a better situation by resetting to neutral and then going from even ground rather than trying to attack out of disadvantage. And yet again, there's a little bit of just unpredictability there that you might want to throw that in every once in a while, but in general, just landing on top of your opponent is something that will get punished. Any questions about that kind of stuff?
No, you're picking me apart. That's good.
That's my job. Don't feel bad about it. Nice. That was really, really good. Oh, that was really bad. I used my jump before I used my down B. So yeah, one thing I was gonna point out was just that in general, when you're either recovering to stage or just getting out at disadvantage, you were air dodging a ton, and you weren't going for any aerials. But then that time you did double jump, and rather than air dodging out of it, you just spiked me, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess he is mixing it up. But I'd say when coming back to stage, don't be afraid to use more aggressive options too, because you were doing the drop down jump and the jump from ledge still, which is I think a really good option on Yoshi. You know, having that double jump armor and that kind of stuff is something that's really, really good.
Oh, it helps.
But just don't be afraid to use aggressive options to push back your opponent, because right now I'm just kind of feeling free to try and cover your air dodge by just kind of being like right in your space and waiting for your air dodge. Whereas you could make that much more difficult for me by even like throwing out a nair once or twice, because as soon as you put that option in my head of like a nair once or twice, then suddenly for me it becomes, okay, he might aerial out of this, but if I want to read an air dodge, if I want to read an air dodge, I have to be out of the range of the aerial, but also close enough to punish an air dodge. And the spacing for that is so much harder than the spacing for just like, okay, he's going to air dodge, and I know he's going to air dodge. I just have to figure out when he's going to air dodge, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
So, yeah, it's just putting out that option, even if it doesn't necessarily... Even if it gets you punished. Like, even if you try and nair in that situation and you get, like, up air and you get put back into the air, now suddenly that's in my head. And I'm like, okay, if I'm going to try and read an air dodge, I have to also deal with the possibility of a nair or an up air out of stuff, you know?
Okay. Yeah. Oh man.
don't feel bad about any of this stuff. This is my job. This is literally what I do for a living, so... But just the idea of throwing out more of those options so that your opponent has more to think about will make the options that you're comfortable with even better. You do that once and suddenly I have much more trouble trying to like cover an air dodge because I have to make my spacing so much more tight. As well as just like sometimes the nair will just work if your opponent's expecting an air dodge.
That is true, yeah. Oops. Oh god.
Nice.
Mess up.
Yeah, just make sure to hold out on those.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say the biggest thing that that you're getting punished for, or like the biggest thing in your playstyle that like is hurting you the most, is just respecting your opponent too much. So
I do.
yeah, definitely, and that manifests itself in things like always air dodging rather than like potentially pushing back, as well as there was a time, not that game, but a game before, where you had me, I was shielding as the SS, and you jabbed my shield once, jabbed it again with, like, you did jab one, and then you just rolled away while I was still in shield. And in that position, when you're up close and I'm in shield, and you have like those fast moves, like, you're definitely at the advantage, yet you just kind of like rolled away and put yourself in disadvantage. So it's just like little things like that where I think you're giving your opponent like a little bit too much credit. And I guess that like the most obvious thing where that kind of comes out is in the air dodge habit, because you're doing like a lot of those and never really coming down with aerials, or like coming back on stage with aerials. You're very just like much, it feels like you're very much like, okay, I'm in disadvantage, I have to play super duper safe until I can get back into neutral. But that playing like super duper safe, I think, is actually like less safe because it's more predictable. So I like, I always say
really scared.
yeah, I'd say that like always the best option is the one, the unexpected one. In just that, like, if your opponent doesn't expect you to like drop from ledge, jump down air them while they're standing on ledge, you're gonna get like 30% from that out of disadvantage. And it's something that's like, okay, is that risky? Sure. But if your opponent is expecting you to air dodge the whole time, that's an option for them that suddenly becomes no risk, only reward, you know?
Okay.
So it's kind of like a balancing risk reward thing. If you do things with low risk, low reward the whole time, suddenly they don't really, the reward decreases for them each consecutive time they do it, because your opponent, or you do it because your opponent will be expecting it and be able to punish it harder and harder each time they call it out.
Yeah, I get really predictable, so I do.
So yeah,
Okay.
I'd say big thing is just the air dodge habit, as well as just letting your opponent kind of like and where that also comes up is when I'm like jumping around you. Like there were points in time where I'd like jump in and I'd nair your shield, and then I'd run past you and I'd short hop and I'd back air your shield, and you'd hold shield the whole time. And it's kind of like what I was talking about earlier, where you kind of want to stop, you kind of want to try and stuff out those options before they get to the short hop height. And there wasn't much of that happening. So I'd say don't be afraid to like throw out more hitboxes. Like, because right now the things that are happening is you're either kind of like throwing something out like a dash attack or like a back air, you know, like kind of just like throwing stuff out in my space that isn't like being, you're either being like super disrespectful and doing that sort of stuff, like just random dash attacks and stuff, or you're playing really, really, really respectful and you're trying to wait for me to do something unsafe. And I'm just like not really doing anything unsafe besides like getting into those positions where I can do safe things. I don't know if this is all, any of this is making sense. But basically the thing is, I think you can just be more quote unquote disrespectful with your options, which basically just means you can throw out more hitboxes, as well as give your opponents a little bit less respect when they're kind of like pressuring your shield, as well as not let your opponent out of disadvantage. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Just try to be a little more aggressive with my options.
I mean, like, not necessarily
not, like,
aggressive, but just like, because like aerialing when you're like coming back on stage isn't something that's necessarily aggressive. It's just another option to get out of disadvantage state. People generally see like throwing out hitboxes as being aggressive and not throwing out hitboxes as being like defensive or like reactive. But like, there are players that throw out a ton of hitboxes that are extremely defensive players. Like for example, like Zero was like that. He was a very defensive player in the fact that he kind of like spaced things backwards. He didn't do anything like risky, but his like not risky options were things like just like forward airing with Diddy, or like monkey flipping and then like edge canceling and that sort of stuff.
Okay.
So it's just like throwing out more options, because right now it's kind of like I feel like you're limiting your own options because you're trying to be respectful to your opponent and what they might potentially be able to do to you.
So,
however,
I'm still playing scared.
Yeah, it's kind of like playing scared, but you immediately make the opponent's life so much more difficult when you just give them more things to deal with. I guess you're making it easier on your opponent by respecting them so much.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was perfect. That was actually like exactly what I was talking about. Did you see how like I jumped up to try and get to that short hop nair height, and you just short hopped out a shield and just naired it and stuffed it out from ever happening?
Okay.
Yeah, that's just the SS on triplats. She's dumb. Oh god, that was awful. Nice, that was really good too.
Oh god.
Yeah. So that game was a lot better in the sense that just like the options you were going for were things that you hadn't thrown out before, and there were things that I didn't expect. So there was the time when I was just kind of like short hopping around your shield, and rather than just letting me do that, you just like narrowed out a shield and just stuffed me out. So that was one really, really good thing you did. And then the other really good thing you did was coming off the ledge with the drop jump down air, which is something you hadn't done and something that I didn't really expect. So those sort of options that are potentially like risky options became super good options because I didn't expect them, and because you hadn't like overused them or anything. So both of those were really, really good. So I think the important thing is to try and find the balance of like respect to give your opponent, because obviously you want to respect your opponent. You don't want to like, you know, completely just like throw out hitboxes the whole time, because that gets predictable too. But you want to find that kind of like that middle point of respecting your opponent but also not letting them get away with whatever they want. Is I think the biggest thing for you. Because at the end of the game there too, when I started juggling you kind of immediately went back to like only air dodging. And yet again, that makes it super easy for me to space, because it's like I can go up there with up airs the whole time and not be afraid at all that you're gonna like hit me with a nair, or that you're gonna like air dodge through it and like up air me and kill me, or even that you're gonna come down with like a Yoshi bomb on top of me when I'm not expecting it. So just like those sort of things, just like mixing up those options, because he has a lot of options, or even just like if like throwing an egg to like get like stalled a little bit. So yeah, I'd say the biggest thing is just respecting your opponent a little bit less, and then using more of the options you have available to you as a result of that. Yeah, and we're at the hour here. Do you have any last questions, or do you want me to like elaborate on anything that I've kind of like touched on?
No, I think you gave me a lot to unpack before I can.
Yeah.
move
Okay.
forward.
I do have this recorded, and I'm gonna throw it up. It'll be up within like the week, I think, on YouTube. Just depends when I can actually get around to uploading it, because I have a couple other things I need to upload here. But it will be up, so you don't have to like, you know, rack your brain and try and remember everything that I've said in the past hour.
That's great. Appreciate that.
Yeah, so you'll be able to go over that if you want. And if you have any more questions, feel free to let me know too.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. Hopefully that helped.
Oh, it did. It did.
Okay, good. All right. Well, you have a nice day, dude.
You too. Take it easy, all right?
Yeah. Bye.